All right, let's just dive right in. We are going to tackle a universal problem today that I know we all face. Failing to achieve our goals because, well, we rely on fleeting motivation. We've all been there, right? You set this massive, highly ambitious goal, you ride a wave of pure, unadulterated motivation for about a week, and then you completely crash. So today in this explainer, we're going to look at how to actually fix that by comparing two brilliant but wildly different frameworks for building systems instead of chasing goals. We've got James Clear's highly psychological approach in Atomic Habits, and then we're putting it up against the rigorously structured MyCS, or My Command System. And this single thought right here really anchors our entire journey today. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. According to the source material from James Clear, goals actually restrict our happiness. They create this stressful either-or conflict where you're only allowed to be happy once you finally achieve the goal. Systems, on the other hand, they are the antidote. They allow you to be totally satisfied anytime your system is running, which promotes continuous, endless improvement. So here is our roadmap for the explainer today. 1. Why goals fail us. 2. Atomic habits, tiny changes. 3. MyCS, the command system. 4. Psychology versus rigorous tracking. And 5. Fulfilling the same need.
Let's get right to it. Section 1. Atomic habits, tiny changes.
To really wrap our heads around this system, we have to look at the pretty dramatic personal history that forged it. Picture this. On the final day of his sophomore year of high school, James Clear was literally hit in the face with a baseball bat. The bat slipped out of a classmate's hands, absolutely crushing his nose, shattering his eye sockets, and causing multiple skull fractures. He suffered seizures and even had to be placed in a medically induced coma. His recovery was, as you can imagine, agonizing. But when he finally got to Denison University, he relied on small, consistent routines, what he calls habits, to basically rebuild his life from scratch. Just lifting weights a few times a week eventually took him from 170 pounds up to a lean 200 pounds. And by his junior year, he was actually voted team captain of his college baseball team. It's a perfect example that small beginnings lead to remarkable results. Now, you might be wondering why the word atomic. Clear breaks down the literal definition into two parts. First, it's an extremely small amount of a thing, a single, irreducible unit. But second, and this is key, an atom is the source of immense energy or power. So an atomic habit isn't just, a regular old tiny habit. It is a fundamental building block of a larger system that fuels massive compounding growth over time. To harness that incredible power, Clear breaks down the basic science of human behavior into a 4-step psychological feedback loop. Every single habit you have goes through this exact cycle. A cue triggers a craving, which leads to a response, which then delivers a reward. Our habits are honestly just modern-day solutions to ancient human desires. For instance, the desire to achieve status translates into a habit of playing video games, or wanting to connect with others translates to, say, scrolling through Facebook. So how do we hack that feedback loop? Clear gives us the 4 laws of behavior change. If you want to build a good habit, you make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. He uses this wonderful metaphor for this. The task of building a good habit is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. It requires patience, and it means optimizing your environment so it naturally pulls you toward those good behaviors. Which brings us to the real core of the Atomic Habits philosophy. It is entirely an identity-first mentality. You shouldn't focus on the outcome you want to achieve. Instead, you need to focus on who you wish to become. Every time you perform an atomic habit, it's like casting a tiny vote for your new identity. You quite literally become your habits by compounding those small wins over and over again. All right, shifting gears. Section 2, MyCS, the command system. Now, if Atomic Habits is about cultivating a delicate psychological flower, MyCS is, well, it's like stepping onto the bridge of a battleship. MyCS, or My Command System, is a personal operating system inspired by the quantum command system. It rigidly categorizes your life into 9 life domains. We're talking career, health, finance, relationships, and then it measures your progress through 8 command positions: command, operations, intelligence, planning, logistics, communications, training, and administration. You are literally managing your daily existence like a full-blown military operation, measuring your progress from multiple tactical perspectives. And just like the military, MyCS relies on a strict, predictable daily protocol. The daily command cycle is super straightforward. Brief, execute, track, Debrief, learn. Your day starts in the app's command center with a morning briefing to lock in your priorities. Throughout the day, you execute habits and log tasks. And finally, you absolutely must complete an evening debrief, which is an after-action review to close out the protocol and carry the right context into tomorrow. And this brilliantly illustrates the mathematical rigor of the MyCS system. Your daily life is literally graded into a composite command score. Just look at these default weights for a second. 25% of your daily score is based just on habit completion. Another 20% is task completion. Simply doing your morning briefing gets you 15%, and the evening debrief adds another 10%. You aren't relying on feelings or vibes here. You are relying on hard data and performance patterns that are calculated for you in the Intel area of the app. To enforce all this compliance, MyCS gamifies your execution. When you start out, you begin a 7-day qualification journey as a Type 5 recruit. If you manage to execute your protocols for 7 straight days, you actually get promoted to Type 4 operator. And building longer streaks unlocks higher commander qualifications. Plus, you have an AI command advisor watching over all your data, offering contextual suggestions on priorities and tasks based on your calendar and your past performance. Section 3. Psychology versus rigorous tracking. So we clearly have two distinctly different paths here. Aesthetically and operationally, the contrast is stark. Atomic Habits uses the language of psychology. It's identity first, you are cultivating behavior by reducing friction, and you rely heavily on managing those internal feedback loops. MyCS, on the flip side, uses the language of military logistics. It is score first, you command behavior, and you rely on quantitative key performance indicators and those strict daily morning and evening protocols. So I want you to ask yourself directly, which of these actually speaks to your personality? Are you the kind of person who is motivated by joining a tribe and feeling your identity naturally shift over time? Or are you someone who absolutely thrives when you are given a rigid structure, a calculated command score out of 100, and a military-grade debrief at the end of every single day?
And finally, Section 4, fulfilling the same need.
Because here's the fascinating part. Despite being total polar opposites in how they execute, both of these frameworks arrive at the exact same destination and share incredible outcomes. Whether you're using the third law of behavior change to make a habit easy or using the MyCS track area for quick capture, both systems actively reduce friction. They entirely replace the need for that fleeting motivation we talked about earlier by giving you a dependable automated system. They establish daily rhythms, and above all, they prioritize continuous incremental improvement. So, the crucial point to remember is this. The purpose of setting goals is to win the game, but the purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. True long-term thinking is goalless thinking. It really doesn't matter if you are cultivating a delicate flower of a habit or fiercely protecting your daily command score streak. Both systems keep you focused on the process itself rather than some singular, distant finish line. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder. The problem of human motivation is completely universal, but the solution? Well, that's deeply personal. To stop falling to the level of your goals, you absolutely need a system. So which system fits your life? Are you the cultivator or are you the commander? Decide what drives you and start building your system today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.